So I'll share my screen as you can then see some of my slides. And actually, I guess hopefully I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked going through. It's really some research that we're doing looking at AI avatars in advancing scientific research and training. Someone asked a question in the chat about second life. Imagine you had a second you. It's the ability to give yourself a second person and time and space away. We're all trying to juggle our lives. AI is a fantastic tool to be able to do this. So really, in terms of my research, we look a lot at the combined laboratory. So experiments at the bench, 3D printing, low-cost electronics, and virtual reality. And the aim is to really try and blur the boundaries between real life and the virtual world. So using the cloud, and VR is a fantastic tool for this. In terms of the group, we do a lot of technology developments, so looking at new equipment for chemistry, for other work in there, and virtual reality software. But a lot of this new technologies involve training, and that's actually one thing that's always difficult. It involves a lot of our time. VR has been a fantastic tool for this for us, being able to actually allow people to access the buildings and facilities and see equipment remotely, but it still involves us actually having to meet people in there. And again, part of this work is also the challenge of global collaboration. If you look at the chat, there's lots of people from all around the world, and we're all in different time zones. It's not easy being able to chat and meet each other at all different times. Now, during the pandemic, we were developing some equipment, and one of the key challenges with this was working between the US, Germany, the UK. We couldn't meet up, and VR became a fantastic tool, but we're always stuck with time zones. If we wanted to meet with the US and China or Australia, it's quite hard trying to match the time zone for everybody. And so if you want to meet up globally, it is very difficult. VR is a fantastic tool for this, but again, the time zones is always a challenge. In terms of training VR, it's ideal because you can take anybody from around the world and you can meet up in a digital space, which is analogous to the real world. And this works really, really well. But again, how do we work together across the globe? And so one of the ways we did this last year was developing digital virtual centers where we could meet up with people and discuss with them different concepts, graphical concepts or equipment simply and easily. And we did this also with the University of Kent with HPLC training, which worked really well. So taking high-end equipment into digital spaces and allowing anyone to access these. And you can see examples of this. It's just like real life, where you can interact with the equipment. But the problem again was working with people in this space involved your time commitment with a headset or a PC to access it. The numbers are fantastic, 200 students we can interact with in each week. But what happens if the students want to learn outside of this time? Do they need to contact you, message you? We have all these problems with MS Teams and the chat in this space. And so what we started thinking about was, could we go to AI for this purpose? And the idea we came up with was to have effectively intelligent AIs in our laboratory, mini yous or me's, the ability that they would know everything that I know, but would be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so what we came up with the concept is AIs in the lab that look like real people, but that know things. So you can ask Ingrid on the right-hand side about the inventory in the lab. You can ask Susan in the middle about safety and Sam on the left for stock. And so the way we integrated this into our VR software was quite simple. You can see the recording from the headset. The idea is that these are voice-activated avatars. You can speak to them and chat to them exactly the same as in real life. You can take concepts and discuss those with other people in that space, again, using the 3D drawing pens. You can have concepts in there which you cannot have in the real world. And with the AIs, you're able to speak to them, as you can see here. And so the avatars can speak to you exactly the same as in real life, but they're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So how do our AIs know information, which was a key question? Well, they're programmed with a backstory. This then sits above a knowledge base, which can be modified with real-time data if you want to from our virtual reality laboratories. And below that sits ChatGPT. And you can vary the relationship between the backstory, the knowledge base, and ChatGPT, depending on what you want the AIs to know. In terms of its accuracy with the backstory and the knowledge base, it works out really well. With most cases, we're looking at about 60 to 90% accuracy. And again, this can be trained and modified. But this is a sample of the test that we've done. We've asked it to look at where equipment is in the lab and where chemicals are, and we get pretty good recall of where things are depending on the level of access to ChatGPT. One of the key things I think is better longer-term development-wise is the use of language. AIs are a fantastic tool if you speak English. because again, it's wonderful. But one of the key challenges with this is we miss out a large part of the globe. Again, if you don't understand English that well or scientific terms, it's difficult because again, you miss out huge subsets of the world population. Now, what we've recently developed, and you can see on the YouTube channel with this, are different speaking avatars. Again, you can take your knowledge base and your backstory and translate it into Arabic, Spanish, Mandarin, Hindu, French, German, whatever you want, Portuguese. All these languages are available, and the avatars will respond in those languages. And hopefully this video will play where you can actually see this.
I'm not sure if there's sound, but we can't hear the sound, but we can see the pictures.
So that was in Arabic. So the question is asked in Arabic, Helen, and the avatar responds in kind. If you want to see that on the YouTube, you're more than welcome. But this is really my aim. I would love to have an avatar working in the lab full time, but ultimately I'm going to be on the beach relaxing with a VR headset on, jumping in as and when needed. So I'd like to thank a lot of people who've worked on this. You heard from Blanca talking before about the work she's been doing at the University of Kent and remote learning. There's a lot of people in the group who've done this over the years, and all people that funded this, and thank you for listening. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Amazing, thank you, Stephen. Does anyone have any questions for Stephen? If you do, if you'd like to raise your hand, whilst people are kind of just thinking about that and raising their hands, I was just wondering, what's the accuracy like for the other languages when you kind of showed the Arabic example? How does that compare? I know you're saying it wasn't as good. I was just wondering if you had some data on that.
So we're about sort of 85 to 90% accuracy on other languages. The biggest challenge is the French translation at the moment. That's a bit of a weakness. That's partly to do with parentheses and dashes, which we have to eke out of the backstory. But at the moment, it's just looking incredible. It understands dialects as well. It's just crazy what you can do with it. We need an AI to help out with all this work because it's just such an insane race because it's just so quick in terms of what we know.
I think that's a key point as well, to help out as well. A lot of people get worried that it's going to take over, but I think it's there to help. So I think that was a great point there. We have a few hands up. Julius, if it's okay, you just asked a question. I hope you don't mind, but would Lauren, would you mind asking your question first, if that's okay?
Yeah. Hopefully you can hear me. Thank you, Stephen. That was really good. So for my question is about the avatar's knowledge and how much you actually have to feed into them. Because obviously with the work, especially in the labs and everything, you know, there's technical difficulties and stuff that could go on, and a student could break something that perhaps the program hasn't accounted for. So how do the avatars deal with that? Is it something that you've got to then go and rewrite and to build into the program, or is it something that flags up to you as the end user, if it were like there's a problem, you need to come?
I think what Blanca showed, actually, you can actually see the conversations afterwards, so you can actually track back and see what's happened. Or you can actually take that knowledge, the conversations, and put that into the backstories as well. So you can train the avatars quite quickly and easily. We've got real-time connection to the lab. So actually, the avatar will know what's going on in the lab in real time, which is quite nice. So we have telemetry data coming back in, and the avatar can tell you what's going on in the lab, which is crazy. It's one of those weird things. If I talked about this 3 months ago, you'd say this is science fiction, but this is science fact.
Yeah, that's amazing. Lynn, you have your hand up. Would you like to ask your question?
Thank you. What I'd like to know is more about what the backstory is and a bit more about the process of training and improving accuracy. I know you've spoken about it, but what sort of content do you select, and how do you test whether the natural language model is going to be accurate?
So I think what we found, actually, we tried one avatar with a wide knowledge base, and a bit like us, we all specialize in something. We also have avatars that specialize in different knowledge. As you saw, Susan, Ingrid, and Sam, they're specialized in what they know. And I think that's the key thing. The backstory it has to be a relatively narrow focus. Otherwise, it's too wide. It's like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is fantastic, but it's too wide. Specialist knowledge, specialized avatars are really the way forward, is what we find.
Okay, that's fascinating. Thank you. And can non-programmers produce?
I'm a chemist, and we've developed this all in my lab with a group doing this. So we don't have any computer training at all. So we built the software from scratch, built the AIs in about sort of a couple of months, and added these in. So okay, we've had a lot of work with doing so, but the AI work is pretty simple.
And sorry, one more follow-up. What AI service are you using?
So the software we developed in Unreal Engine, and we use the plugins for the AI into that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think we've probably got time for one more question, and Julius has been very patient. So Julius, would you like to ask your question?
Thank you so much, Phil. Stephen, this is really interesting. And I want to ask two things. Number one is, well, this is an interesting system, obviously. I don't know if do you offer services like maybe if staff members from other institutions would want to come around and try out your system, do you offer such opportunities? That's one. And the second thing is, so my experience from using ChatGPT-4 actually is that it's effective and not in programming. So it can help you to be writing code snippet, and then it can help you to be troubleshooting. But when you use it consistently for an extended time, it gets to a point that it seems to forget everything, like it goes blank and start all over again. Because if you refer to a previous program you've been working on with it, just the previous minute, because you've sort of exceeded a limit or something, it just say, well, I can help you to do this. If you want to do this, like that's completely forgotten, and you have to start all over again. So I don't know.
Yeah. Just to keep time and catch up with questions quickly, I'll talk quickly. Yes, we have the opportunity for people to come and try the software. So it's available on PC or Quest. So it's side loadable. So again, if you've got motion difficulties, we have PC options. Please contact us about that. Have a chat to Blanca or myself, and we can jump in and show you. And the group can show you as well. We can arrange some times.
And that is at Kent, right? Sorry, Kent. The location is it Kent?
Locations in Kent or London, so it's fine, or online, it's fine.
All right.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll have to answer questions in the chat if you want to afterwards. It's easier.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and as well, lots of great questions coming in. But thank you both of you. That was another two brilliant talks. Really innovative uses there, amazing. And yeah, wow. Yeah, keep up the good work is all I can say on that one.